story is The Shoemaker and the Elves. There was a poor old shoemaker in a village. He worked hard every day, but he still was not able to make a living. One day, the shoemaker sighed while making the shoes.
Oh, what should I do? There's only enough leather left for one more shoe.
After snipping the leather, he went to bed, thinking about the shoe he'd make the next day. In the morning, the shoemaker was amazed when he was about to start making shoes. There was a nice pair of shoes on the table that he had never seen before.
Oh, this is strange. I clearly just cut out the leather last night. Who made these pretty shoes?
He took a very close look at the shoes. It was a quite fine pair with well-stitched seams and sturdy heels.
So curious. Who could it be?
Soon after, a customer came in and saw the shoes. Oh, these are the best shoes! She loved the shoes. And they were a perfect fit for her. The customer purchased the shoes and paid a high price for them. With the money, the shoemaker got some more leather for 2 pairs of shoes. He snipped the leather, thinking about the shoe he'd make the next day. The next morning, the shoemaker was amazed again. This time, there were 2 pairs of beautiful shoes sitting on the table. Soon after, customers came and saw the shoes and said, "Wow, these are really nice shoes. I'll buy them right away." The 2 pairs of shoes were quickly sold for a high price. With the money, the shoemaker got more leather for the 4 pairs of shoes, and he trimmed and cut the leather. The next morning again, he had beautiful shoes on the table. People loved his shoes, and he quickly became very, very wealthy. A few nights before Christmas, the shoemaker didn't go back home as usual and told his wife,
"Let's stay up all night and find out who's helping us, okay?"
The couple decided to hide and watch. Finally, when the time had passed midnight, the elves came into the workshop through the moonlight. They started to make shoes on the table. Clang, clang! Clang, clang! They made the shoes with their tiny hands. When they were done making shoes, they said, "Okay, we're done for the day. Let's go back home." After taking a glance around the table, the elves disappeared swiftly, feeling content. The next morning, the shoemaker's wife said, "Dear, since the elves made us rich, why don't we thank them for what they've done for us?" And the shoemaker agreed.
That's a great idea. But how should we thank them?
Then she said, "How about we make them some clothes and shoes?" The shoemaker and his wife joyfully prepared the gifts. The shoemaker made little shoes, and his wife knitted adorable cozy socks and clothing. They placed the gifts on the table and hid, waiting for the elves. As the night grew darker, the elves appeared. The elves were delighted to see the gifts. "Wow! Look here! I have the cutest little outfit! These shoes are perfect for me!" The elves were dancing and singing with excitement. And the shoemaker and his wife were happy to see them loving the gifts. Then the elves left with their clothes and shoes and never came back. And the shoemaker worked hard every day making more shoes. Today's story is The Happy Prince. Once upon a time, there was a statue of a prince in a village. It had a sword studded with rubies and eyes made of emeralds, covered in gold leaf. It was the statue of a happy prince. The statue of the Happy Prince was said to bring happiness and love to the people in the village. Oh, my wings need a break. Oh, I should stay by the Happy Prince today. A swallow decided to spend the night resting on the statue of the prince. The next morning, the swallow slept well. The swallow saw a crying prince. "Prince, why are you crying?" said the swallow. The prince spoke as he cried.
"Swallow, I see a little boy lying sick. But the boy is too poor to buy medicine or get food. Swallow, can you bring this ruby to the boy?"
The swallow flew to the boy with the ruby, even though she was worn out. She dropped the ruby on the boy's bed. "Get well soon." The following day, the prince was sad again and said to the swallow,
"Swallow, I see a young man crying on a bench. He wants to be a painter, but he cannot afford paints. Can you take one of my emerald eyes and bring it to the young man?"
The swallow had to fly south, but agreed to bring the prince's emerald eye. The swallow flew with it and placed it next to the young man. "Be a great painter." The weather is getting colder and colder. The next morning, with another sad look on his face, the prince told the swallow,
"I see a little girl selling matches in the street. But she has no warm clothes and no one to take care of her. Can you give her my other eye?
The time for the swallow to leave was getting later, but she agreed to bring the princess' other eye. The swallow flew away with the emerald eye and dropped it into the girl's basket. The girl was delighted. The prince now had no eyes. The swallow was very worried about the prince and said, "Prince, I cannot leave you alone. I'll stay by your side." From that day on, the swallow became the prince's eyes. Every morning, the swallow would look around the village. And if she saw anyone in need, she would tell the prince. And she would strip bits of gold from the prince's golden robe and give it to someone who needed it. A cold winter arrived, and now the prince had nothing to give to the people. And the swallow died peacefully by the side of the prince. The villagers buried the swallow, tore down the statue, and cast it into the fire. The happy prince disappeared from the village. But the swallow and the prince met in heaven and lived on happily ever after. Today's story is Pinocchio. Grandpa Geppetto made a wooden puppet. Hammering, 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 hammering.
You are my son, Pinocchio.
That night, an angel visits Pinocchio. Be a good boy, Pinocchio, and you can become a real man. The next day, on his way to school, Pinocchio meets a fox and a cat.
Hey, let's go to the puppet theater together.
And Pinocchio said,
"That's a great idea."
Pinocchio went to the theater with the fox and the cat.
Dancing wooden puppets. I could make a lot of money with this.
The puppet theater owner locked Pinocchio in a cage.
Please, let me out! Please, let me out! Please, let me out!
Then, poof! An angel appeared. Pinocchio, why are you in the cage?
Oh, I really didn't want to come. The fox and the cat forced me.
As Pinocchio lied, shoo! His nose grew longer.
Oh, how did this happen? My nose got longer.
Be a good boy, and you can be a real man, Pinocchio. The angel opened the cage door. Pinocchio was released from the cage and met other children on his way home. Pinocchio, let's go to our toy village. There we can eat and play all day. And this time Pinocchio said, "That's a great idea!" So Pinocchio went to the toy town with the children. But in the toy town, strange things started to happen.
Oh no! Kids! We're turning into donkeys! Nay! Nay!
Pinocchio quickly ran home.
Dad! I'm home! Where are
But there was no one home.
Grandpa Geppetto went out to look for you, but he fell into the sea.
The pigeon on the roof said,
Oh no! I've been such a bad child! But I'm going to save him!
Splash! Pinocchio dove into the sea. But a huge whale swallowed, gulp, him whole. Inside the whale's belly, Pinocchio saw Grandpa Geppetto.
Oh, Dad! Dad! I'm sorry! It's okay, Pinocchio. It's just so cold. Let's make a fire.
Pinocchio and Grandpa Geppetto built a fire, and the whale sneezed from the smoke.
Achoo! Wow! We're out of the whale's belly! Pinocchio, you saved me! You are a very good boy, my son.
That night, an angel, ta-da, came to Pinocchio.
Pinocchio, you can be a real boy now.
After doing a good deed, Pinocchio became a real boy. And Pinocchio and Grandpa lived happily ever after.
Aliceballet.